Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the PowerPlay Series. I'm Ceresia Nelson, and I am so honored to co-host today's episode with my very awesome and amazing co-host, the founder and managing partner of the Peter Damon Group, Mr. Darren Peters. You know, I've been saying, Darren, what have I been calling you? Peter Damon?
I hope you've been calling me Darren. We've been knowing each other for many, many years.
I know. This is Darren, everybody. And
thanks, Ceresia. You know, and hello, everybody. You know, we're so glad to be here again, bringing you another outstanding guest who, I mean, I know you're going to be excited to hear all about this guest that we have before you. She's a great friend of mine, and she just has a great background and experience, and we're just excited to have her here.
Well, hey, look, it's a great afternoon to be able to be here with you, Darren and Ceresia. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about one of my most favorite subjects, which is Ex-Im Bank, working with small business and large and medium-sized business all around the world, all around the U.S. and around the world.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we're going to tell the people, those who may not know just how fabulous you are, I'm going to give a high-level overview of your fabulousness. So our guest today is the Miss Reta Jo Lewis. She's an attorney and a former diplomat, a politician, and she is currently the president and chair of the Export-Import Bank of the United States. She was formerly director of congressional affairs at the German Marshall Fund to the United States. She was also at one time the special representative for global intergovernmental affairs at the United States Department of State during the Obama administration and special assistant to the president for political affairs during the Clinton administration. Additionally, she's the first Black woman to serve as vice president and counselor to the president at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, where she led the chamber's initiatives focused on fostering strategic alliances between small businesses, especially women and minority-owned businesses, entrepreneurs, and executives. She's a native of Statesboro, Georgia.
Yes.
She received a JD from Emory University School of Law, an MSAJ. Now, Ms. Reta Jo, what is an MSAJ?
A Master of Science in the Administration of Justice.
I'm telling you, I've never met an MSAJ, but she holds that degree from American University, and she's also a graduate of the University of Georgia. And today she's a guest on the PowerPlay Series, so she can add that to this wonderful resume. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right, great.
Yes.
Look, Reta, you know, we're very excited, as I said before, we're very excited to have you here today. And as we talked about, as Ceresia mentioned, you have, you know, vast background and experience in a number of different areas. You and I I think we've known each other for, you know, close to 30 years.
Yes.
And we've, you know, I've had some great people who have given me guidance along the way. But I know that you have had great learning experiences from some of the best in the business.
Yes.
Before we get into the meat of Ex-Im, can you tell who some of your mentors have been?
No, you are so right. Well, first of all, Darren, you're right. We have known each other for so long, and our paths have crossed, especially, you know, in the Clinton world. And so when you say who are some of those people who have influenced me, and I can go all the way back to someone like Patricia Roberts Harris, who was the first Black secretary, U.S. Cabinet Secretary for HUD. For Health and Human Services. She also was one of the first Black women ambassadors to Luxembourg during the Carter administration. So, you know, Sarah Harris, as we like to call her, was someone who definitely influenced me. She was a lawyer and definitely influenced me to take on the practice of law and to go to law school. But, you know, I've been I think there's been such a continuum of people throughout my life that has influenced the work that I do. Definitely President Clinton and definitely Secretary Clinton, primarily because having served in the State Department with the Secretary and having served at the White House for the President in the Office of Political Affairs, you know, how could one not look at the style of leadership and the respect that they garner around the world, but also more importantly, the preparation that they undertook in order for them to not only achieve the heights at which they did, but also to work with people who have the kinds of professional experience and the skill sets that you would want to emulate. And so was really excited to work with them, but also I have had great opportunities to be influenced by a major icon, which was Nelson Mandela. I was very, very fortunate early in my career to lead the Nelson Mandela tour the first time he came to the United States, and it was right after he had walked out of prison. I was asked to serve as the advisor and trip director of that tour, that 8-city tour that he took around the U.S. And so, you know, when you see someone who has the humility and you see someone who has the iconic nature, be a man who is not only a humble individual, but someone who just, you know, showed no malice in all of what he went through, to be able to step onto the world stage and to be so not only admired, but emulated throughout the world. And so, you know, having that time of that preparation of working with, you know, civil rights icons like Harry Belafonte and Roger Wilkins and Jr. and others was experiences that I will take with me for the rest of my life, and how I have hoped to, you know, model my career. For me, as we segue here in the role that I am in at Ex-Im Bank, you know, my parents were small business owners, and I saw what they went through each and every day as they made a contribution in their community, as they raised their family and my sisters and brothers, and the work that they did in helping to, you know, create jobs in our own community. So, you know, I have a whole list of folks that I have worked with, and so whether it's been international icons, whether it's been presidents, whether it's been my family, all have had, I think, made a mark on how I try to, you know, conduct myself on any stage of which I am asked to be on.
It's phenomenal. Definitely phenomenal. Now, switching gears to Ex-Im Bank, because I know many of those who are watching us or listening to us may not be familiar with this work. What's a personal anecdote or a story that really showcases the impact of the work of the bank's mission on everyday folks? Like,
you know, you raise a very good point. We are you know, the Export Bank of the United States is the official export credit agency of the U.S. And, you know, as a little known independent executive branch agency, our prime mission is about supporting American jobs by facilitating the exports of U.S. goods and services. Next year in February, we will celebrate our 90th year. And one of the things that has been so exciting is to be able to lead an agency where we have played such a very key role in helping to foster, you know, economic opportunities for U.S. companies and small businesses, and for the partner nations that our companies do business with around the world. You know, one of the things that we always have to talk about is the fact that about 400 people, we only have about 13. We have 13 offices with about 18 people in them. So we work very, very closely with our Department of Commerce friends in the Foreign Commercial Service. We work very closely with our embassies. We work very closely with other government agencies in order to deliver the kinds of financing solutions for our businesses. But one of the things that we do offer here, or not one of the things, but one of the things the things that we do offer here is direct loans, loan guarantees, and our insurance products, all, of course, backed by the full faith and credit of the United States to support the exports of U.S.-made goods and services. So you say, what is somewhat of an antidote, or what is something that you can talk about? It really, that has direct impact. I think it really goes to the work that we have done on small business. I mean, you can take like a company like one of a great success story for us. It was one of our exporters of the year during our this year annual conference, a company called Be Nutty. Be Nutty is a woman-owned business. It's located in Indiana. It was founded as a result of two moms who basically shared a very big desire to provide some healthy snack solutions for their kids. And so 7 years into the business, those two founders are basically utilizing XM's insurance product to mitigate risks from international buyers. And they now are exporting, across the globe with customers ranging everything from Hong Kong to South Korea, the Philippines. And so when I see small companies like that, or when I see whether it's, because, we finance goods and services. Another example is a competitive engineering, which is a small business engineering and manufacturing firm in Arizona. They specialize in precision parts since 1987. They too utilized our working capital guarantee program for over 18 years. Now, because of the relationship they have with XM, they now account for approximately, I think, about 40% of the company's revenue. They've added 10 jobs. They too were listed as one of our XM exporters of the year. I like to talk about the small businesses because, people think sometimes that this agency is just about a large business to provide large business solutions, and it's not. 90% of our transactions are in the small business space. And so we have a team of specialists that really work very hard, diligently, every single day with small business. We have, and within that, we have a minority and women-owned business division that works specifically with women-owned and minority and underserved populations to make sure that they understand how to use XM Bank's services. So, XM was an institution that in 2019, when we were reauthorized, we were awarded a lending cap by Congress of about $135 billion. We've authorized about $100 billion, about $35 billion. We have about $100 billion that we have to authorize. And it's good to know that last year of the 8.7 that we authorized, $2 billion of that went to small business. And so that to me is what you can be just really very, very proud of, to know that we are making a difference. We're having an impact in a local community, that we're helping to support the jobs right there, because we all know what small business is that's the backbone of our economy. We also know that access to capital is one of the hardest challenges that they face if they're trying to grow and expand. And if they want to go overseas, that definitely is one of the biggest challenges. And so being here at an agency at this time, with a mandate to increase the authorizations in the small business arena, working for President Biden, a leader who firmly believes in small business and supporting good paying jobs. We're just glad to be able to do our part here at XM.
All right, Sarisa, I guess me and you need to go get that business thing formed and start talking to XM Bank.
Yep.
Everything about us over here it's about a bankable project. It's also about putting in that application. But the most important thing is we tell people, don't wait until you don't have to have all the answers right now. You can, as you start forming, or you have formed, or you've been in business, there's so many avenues within government that can be there to help you. I mean, SBA and their small business centers. We have export centers all around the United States that we work very closely with Commerce. Our small business specialists are co-located with other government agencies. And so, whether it's the federal government or whether it's the state and local governments, economic development and international teams, there are people there that is there to help assist you in helping you to grow and expand your business. And we're glad that XM Bank is one of them.
It's amazing.
That's some really good stuff, you know, and some fantastic insights, Reta. We know you've had an incredible journey leading up to XM Bank, and you talked a little bit about that journey. But can you tell us a little bit about how you got started? You know, what brought you to Washington, D.C.? You know, I think there are a lot of listeners that you could benefit from your story.
Well, you know, it's so amazing. About what brought me to Washington, D.C., and it's very simple. My sister came here after graduate school, and you know, I was raised in small town USA, Statesboro, Georgia, but it was a college town. But I wanted to get out of Georgia. I went to get out of Statesboro, basically, and but I wanted to you know, my parents were always about urban mobility, always about education being what is going to change and make a difference in your life, and how you can take your life in your own hands as long as you are prepared. And so after graduating from the University of Georgia, I moved to Washington, D.C., and I went to graduate school. So, Orencia, that's where that MSAJ came about, because I went to American and got a master's. And it soon became very clear to me, even after graduating and going into my very first job in the Justice Department, being placed at the Drug Enforcement Administration during the Carter years. It was a program that he had called Presidential Management Interns. It was basically now Presidential Management Fellows. Mm-hmm. And it was a competitive process. And it was a process where from graduate schools, they asked people to apply and to seek employment in these fellowships in the United States government. And you would start at a mid-level, and then you would have 2 years to advance to in a mid-level role from a 9 to a 12 at GS-12 at that time. And then you would then have a permanent position in the United States government. And so I was fortunate, and even though I started out at the Drug Enforcement Administration, that was a part of Department of Justice, I left before my fellowship was over, and I went to the National League of Cities. And I will tell you, I fell in love with the work of dealing with governors and dealing with mayors and county officials and those that make they say where the action is. Yeah. And from my work at the National League of Cities, I also started working in politics and worked in actually Patricia Roberts Harris's mayoral campaign when she was the first woman to run for mayor here in D.C. She did not win, but I then was asked to come to work for Harold Washington. So I'm dating myself. I'm like dating myself now, but you know, I was asked to come work for someone like Harold Washington, the mayor who actually did win the mayoral race in Chicago. And that was just such a historic and monumental election as the first Black mayor. And I will tell you, from then on, I think I got the bug, and I had just been involved with presidential politics and got involved with so many different presidential campaigns. And then, of course, you know, when Bill Clinton won the presidency, I was involved with the campaign, stayed in Arkansas during transition. And then when he came to Washington, was able to come to the White House to work with him. And, you know, so the story continues of the presidents and the candidates that I have worked for and worked with and gotten to know. And during the Obama era, worked with Secretary Clinton, worked with in the Obama administration, and then now here at working and serving in President Biden administration. And I'm really excited about the work that we're doing here.
And this is something I know that a lot of other people may not know. And I believe I'm right when I say this, but I think you were the first African-American woman, maybe first African-American period, to be a trip director for a major presidential candidate. I was trip director for the Mandela trip, but I think you are also that as well.
Well, the Mandela trip came about because being the first Black woman trip director. There had been a Black African-American man who was in the Carter administration. He's no longer with us. He was the first trip director that was African-American, and I was the first woman. So I would say I would be the second Black person to serve in a national campaign. And I would tell you, there is nothing like you know, working directly with a candidate or working directly with an official in that capacity, the level of trust, the level of work that you have to do, the level of being a part of the collaborative effort with one goal and one goal alone is either serving the president or, in my case, it was serving, being of service for the candidate. And after being a lead advance, Darren, just like you, we come out of that world, being having been entrusted by that for Vice President Mondale at that time could not have been more rewarding an experience. And I learned so much about politics. I learned so much about people. I learned a lot about myself, about the pressure that you have to be under every single day when you work in that high pressure environment, working with all those senior top officials, many who all went on to become what? Cabinet secretaries, ambassadors, who are doing the work of serving the people, the American people, and of course, in serving their president.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up a lot of those points, because I think it's important for people, particularly young people, to hear that there's not necessarily it's not always a direct path for your career. Sometimes you have to be, take advantage of opportunities where you can get exposure and experience. And ultimately, it leads to hopefully whatever your aspirations are. But sometimes it allows you to
find a new path.
And she is so right. And Darren, because it's about finding a new path. The people that I probably, talked about, every one of them, from Nelson Mandela to Pat Harris, Patricia Harris to Hillary Clinton, they were all lawyers. Mondale, all lawyers. And it just so happened I just have been surrounded by a bunch of lawyers, and they all encouraged me to take that next step and to go back and to go to law school, to go back and improve your skills, to go back and prepare yourself to be prepared for the next part of your professional journey. So, I've practiced law. I've been a partner in one of the largest firms in the world. I have been of counsel in very large firms. And I've been so excited each and every step along the way. I think in the representation of working in firms, you got to represent a client. You understood what the client wants. You understood, and you had to be there to be about the business of delivering that. And you're right. People think that there's one way. There is no one way. That it is the way that you determine how your life should go and how your life should be. And it's been a great journey, because I've had so many friends and family who have supported the journey that I have been on. And and now, after having served in the Obama administration at the State Department, and then going and being at a think tank. I mean, did I ever think I'd be at one of the biggest think tanks, leading think tanks, the German Marshall Fund, which is focused on U.S.-Europe, U.S.-Germany relations, and being there and taking everything that I've learned and done, whether it was when I was at the Chamber of Commerce, or whether it was in the law firm, whether it was at the think tank, the most important thing I can say is take each one as you find them and do the best you can while you are there. And instead of looking over the horizon, look at what you're doing, because people are really understanding, watching, looking to see who they want to support. And the most important thing to realize is that all along the journey, it is about relationships. It is about collaborations. It's about partnership. Because, the old saying of who you see on the way up, you're going to see on the way down, or if you're on the way down, on the way up, or whatever that line is. I believe that. I believe that. And that's why it is so fundamental, especially, Darren, this in the business that we're in. It's about how you treat people, how you work with people, how you collaborate with people, and whether they're going to then be willing to, support you in whatever endeavor that you might have along the way, along your journey. So, as they say, the ride continues.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, you've done so much. What's next for you? What's a dream for you? What's next?
You know what? You just keep dreaming the dream, but the most important thing is you just keep working.
Keep working.
You
keep dreaming.
You keep dreaming and you keep working. But you know, while you're dreaming, you need to keep working. You cannot
dream and work.
Dream and work. I like that. Dream and work. A work and dream.
Work and dream.
You know, it's all about, I think, expanding your horizons in everything you do. This job that I'm in now just has given me a great opportunity to work with so many, whether it's people here at XM from an internal perspective with the fabulous staff that we have here, the team of experts that are technical or the expertise they have in financial or the expertise they have in engineering or whatever. But also it's the people that we meet and come in contact with who really want to have America and American companies participate in providing goods and services abroad, help them participate in the support of expanding their exporting capacity, or just help them in terms of getting into the exporting game. And so, you know, there's a lot to learn. We have a lot of products and services here that I think can help companies. Really excited about being here at XM at a time when the president has focused a lot on our supply chain. So, you know, we have to make a plug for our Make More in America initiative, which is really there to bolster capacity domestically for those businesses and companies seeking to expand their exporting capacity, even if they're not in the game. And of course, you know, it's all about when the president started talking about bolstering the supply chain, it was all about how we can rebuild and revitalize U.S. manufacturing. So, you know, when we developed that new initiative, that's just something else to be able to stand tall and to be proud of, especially since we've already awarded our first small business, $4.7 million, to a company out of Pennsylvania, Aquatech. And then we did a second one, a little larger one, $170 million, for a company called Beta Technologies in Vermont, which is manufactures electric aircrafts, who we actually believe is going to be part of the future, you know, of aviation. And so when you look at the mandates that we have, whether it's supporting small business, of course, supporting more renewables and renewable energy and energy efficiency, supporting our transformational export areas, everything from the semiconductors and AI and quantum computing, and especially where our companies find themselves in competition, stiff competition with Chinese companies. And then, of course, the work that we're doing here in sub-Saharan Africa, which totally is complementary to what the president has done when he called the Africa Leaders Summit last year and asked all of us agencies, what could we do in the contribution to the work of strengthening and deepening our relationships on the continent. And we're really glad to say here at XM, we're living up to not only our congressional mandate to do more, we're living up to what the president's programs around Partnership for Global Investment and what he has asked us to do in those countries. And very proud of the fact that this year we awarded a $907 million loan for 2 solar plants that's going to be in Angola. And so it's going to be built in Angola. So we're really excited of the work we're doing, excited about meeting our objectives, meeting the president's goals, and being a part of what the president is trying to do as we focus on all sectors, as they say, all sizes of companies, but more importantly, focus on helping to support jobs that these companies are doing with the financing that XM provides.
I know, Sarisa, you're about to try to wrap us up with that one question we ask all our guests. And but Reta, and I really like that you summarized a saying that from one of our most impactful presidents, one of my favorites, Teddy Roosevelt, when he said, "Do the best you can with what you have where you are."
Yes.
And I think that's I hope people heard that message. But so I'll kick it over.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an exciting time to be here with all of you.
Well, listen, you can't get away before you answer this one question.
Give it to me.
You've had such an expansive career. But if there's one power play that you can make to eradicate an issue, solve a problem in the world, what would Reta Jo Lewis's one power play be?
You know, I think the power play has to go back to the capital question. It has to go back to how are we really going to solve this whole access to capital question for underserved communities and women and minorities? How can we collaborate more closer together to solve that issue so that our companies are not hampered because they don't have the financial access to capital they need to grow and expand in? And how can we then work with the private sector? Because this is not a government, this is not going to be a government solution, it's not going to be a nonprofit solution, it's not going to be a private sector. It's going to be all of us working together in collaboration of actually putting the finances out in play for our companies to be able to not only understand how to access it, but then also how to use it, how to sustain it, and then how to grow it. And our companies our small businesses, I think we're doing everything we can to ensure that they know more about us. And so that's why coming on programs like PowerPlay is important, because you reach a different segment of an audience out here. And we just want to tell people, look, go to xm.gov. I never like sending people to websites, but on our website is right there. It really tells you where we're opening in a market, where we're closing a market. It gives you some more specific examples of success stories. So you may find somebody that looks just like you, sounds just like you, right in the right place of their company growth, just like you, that they can learn something from real quickly. You know, everything now is virtual. You know, we host numerous webinars. We also would love to work with organizations who would love to work with us so that we can continue to explain not only what we do, but also what are some other government agencies that we work with, what do they do. So I think all of that combination of constantly working with the private sector players and working with the philanthropic community, working with other government agencies, is what we're going to have to keep moving the needle to see our companies grow and expand. And as they say, so if we had a magic wand and we could, you know, get it all done tomorrow, you know, that would be where I would wave my wand. But until we do, I think we're going to just, as they say, we're going to keep working. We're just going to keep working.
Thank you so much for that. That's definitely an equity issue, and it's something, you're right, we have to keep hammering on that. Access to capital, you're right, it levels the playing field, it can help level the playing field.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
We got to stay focused on the economics.
That's it. You mentioned your website. What was that website again?
xm.gov.
xm.gov. Okay.
exim.gov.
Are there any other social platforms that we might need to let our folks know about to keep up with either you or the bank?
We do have, you know, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, X. We are, XM is on, Reta Jo Lewis, at Reta Jo Lewis's chair is on those different platforms. And then for other resources that your listeners might need, we have a resource page where they can go to see what other government agencies have to offer. And then finally, for those who are traveling and meeting companies or wanting to meet companies, we definitely are saying, please work with our Department of Commerce. Please work with our embassy teams. Please work with organizations in your own local communities that are traveling to these places, and join those delegations, be a part of those delegations. And they don't have to always leave town. They can do them virtually. And then there's always reverse trade missions of people coming to your, not your hometown, somewhere near you, coming to Washington, New York, you know. So there are ways that people can find out. XM Bank is having our annual conference in June of next year. Would love to have your listeners be a part of that. We'll send you a link as soon as we get that save the date out there. And, you know, it's just a lot of ways. The most important thing is to get started, and to get started, and to then be persistent about your desire and to grow and to expand, and to say, I'm not going to stop until I find every agency or every private sector entity or whatever that can help me in this exporting journey. Because every story I have, every place I travel, it brings a smile to my face when I go out and visit an XM client or customer and see how they have used our products to grow and expand their business and to support jobs in their local community.
Great.
There you have it.
Well, we've come to that time in our discussion series where we have to close it down. So we definitely want to thank you, Reta Jo Lewis, for being a guest on the PowerPlay discussion series. We really enjoyed having you, and we wish you all the best as you keep it moving forward.
Keep it moving forward. Thank you all for having me.